As you heard there, Secretary Collins says cutting 80,000 VA jobs is a goal, but he acknowledged he might not be able to get to that number. Joining us now is Iraq War veteran, Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, who also questioned Secretary Collins today. Senator, good to see you. At today's hearings, you pressed Secretary Collins about the firings and then rehirings of veteran crisis line employees who train those to handle the phone calls from veterans in crisis. You and I have talked about this many times on the show. Here's a little excerpt of some of what he had to say.
I'll acknowledge the fact that we brought back staff to help in those situations, and that's why they're now exempted. Sometimes, and we did do that, but I will not also let it be put out there that people were not getting their phone calls answered because those were the ones that were let go. Those were not the ones that were let go.
You said that more than one person has been affected. Can you tell us more?
Yes, well, I've had just in my own, in Illinois, in my own home state, many veterans, people that I actually served with in the Army, so I know these people very well, were fired and then rehired. This is how sloppy they're going about doing this. They just did mass firings without looking at who they were firing. And not all of those people have been hired back, Jake. I know at least one person who was promoted because they were doing such a good job answering the phone calls that they are now in the role of training other people who answer the phones. That person has not been hired back.
And do we know if any veterans have called the Veterans Crisis Line and not been able to get somebody on the other line? Is that anything we know one way or the other?
We don't know that, but the VA does have that data. They can provide that data. It's why I am introducing my bill tomorrow, the Protecting Veterans in Crisis Act, which does a number of things, including requiring the VA to provide data to Congress as to how those calls are being handled, how many calls are dropped, how long veterans are waiting to get their calls answered, and for example, how many veterans have been fired from the hotline.
What other things would your legislation do in addition to that?
We would require the VA to let members of Congress know, to let Congress know 48 hours before they fire anybody from the Veterans Crisis Line, and then also to let us know if any of the people fired are veterans themselves or military spouses.